Hey guys, we are going to work on practice sheet 8. So let's start with number 1. So number 1 is add, subtract. So hopefully you remember that means we're going to have to find a least common denominator. Okay? So if you don't know what it is, you would list it. Okay? Now if you know it, you don't have to do this step. 6, 12, and I actually can stop right there because there's already 12 right there, okay? So 12 is going to be my denominator, the least common denominator, okay? Now we make equivalent fractions, but this one is already a 12, so that stays the same. But this 6 changed. This denominator changed. So I have to change the numerator. 6 times what gives me 12? 2. So I multiply the top by 2, and I get 2. Now I go to subtract, and I can't, right? 2 minus 7. So with fractions, we don't really do negatives in this way, okay? So instead, I regroup. That 8 becomes a 7. I borrow 1 because I need to help this one. I break it into this many pieces. I have 2 pieces. That's not enough. I need 7. So I'm going to add those. 2 plus 12, which is 14. And this stays the same. And your job is to finish this up. And you should not need to simplify. Okay? So hopefully we're good with 2 and 3 because we already know how to multiply, right? So we do Texas. And whatever we get there goes on top. 9 times 9 plus 7. And then 9 goes on bottom. And then hopefully we know this one we divide. Right? And whatever we get when we subtract, remember that goes on top. Okay? Number 4, you should know how to do this. This is an arrow problem. Please make sure you remember that the decimal goes here. So you need to line it up when we're either adding or subtracting. And the last one for this video is we're going to multiply, right? So Texas. We do not get an LCD because we're not adding and subtracting. So now before I get started, as I'm starting, I notice that I have a negative here, right? So since I'm multiplying, this is a triangle problem, not arrow, because of the multiplication. So I have a positive, I have a negative, that gives me a negative. Positive, negative, positive, negative gives me a negative. Okay? So now you do this, 5 times 4 plus 4. Think of what 5 times 4 is, plus 4. 24, right? Keep the denominator the same, just like we did above, times 8 times 3 plus 1. What is 8 times 3? 24 plus 1, 25. Over 8. I'm not dealing with the negative. Now I'm going to find the relationships, guys. Hopefully we know this one's easy, right? Both of these divide by 5, right? So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So the first one and the fifth one. So 5 divided by 5, that's the first one. That becomes a 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 25 divided by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That becomes a 5. There's also one here. If nothing else, you can divide by 2. You can do that for sure. You could also divide by 4. We're going to do 8. 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 8 is 24, 32, and I can actually stop because I already got to 24. So the first one and the third one. 8 divided by 8 is a 1. 24 divided by 8 is a 3. So now multiply your numerators, denominators, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be a whole number, but remember it's going to be negative.